Hello, friends. This is the story of the forgotten queen who dared to defy an empire. Our story begins in the 17th century in the region of Bengal. At that time, the entire region was under the control of the Mughal Empire. But despite being under the same roof, the rulers of Bengal were not happy with the Mughals. The Mughal emperors kept demanding more and more land from them, and if they refused, they would send their army to take it by force. One such incident took place in the year 1632. The Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan sent his tax collectors to a small kingdom in Bengal. The ruler of this tiny kingdom was Queen Rupavati. No, she wasn't a real queen, at least not in history books. But we have evidence that a queen by that name did exist. The records of the Archaeological Survey of India mention her name, as do several old paintings. Historians believe that she might have ruled this kingdom for a brief period between 1611 and 1627. That's why our story is set in the year 1632. Anyway, the queen's father had died a few months ago, and now Shah Jahan wanted her to pay her late father's outstanding debt, or else he would send his army to her kingdom. The queen refused, saying that her father had paid the emperor everything he owed. But the emperor's men weren't convinced. They wanted more land, and so they laid siege to the queen's palace. But here's where our story takes a turn. While the queen was getting ready to defend herself against the emperor's men, she met some local traders and farmers. She asked them to leave the city before the bloodshed began. But much to her surprise, they told her that they weren't afraid and that they would fight alongside her. In fact, these men had had enough of the Mughal oppression. For years, they had watched the emperor's army plunder their lands, and now they wanted to do something about it. So the queen's small army marched out of the palace to take on the might of the Mughal Empire. At first, the soldiers were afraid. After all, they were heavily outnumbered. But seeing the courage in their queen's eyes, they followed her into battle. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly how the battle played out, but we do know the outcome. The queen lost. Her palace was captured and her treasury looted. But though she lost the battle, she won something much bigger: respect and gratitude from her people. You see, when the queen left the palace, she had distributed all her valuables among her soldiers and the common folk. She didn't care about her own safety anymore because she knew that if she survived, she would have to live the rest of her life as a prisoner of the Mughal emperor. So she fought bravely, knowing that it was a losing battle. As for her subjects, when they saw the queen fighting alongside them, they fought with renewed vigor. When the queen's soldiers fell, the traders and farmers took up their weapons and continued fighting. Soon, the entire town was just one big battleground with people from all walks of life fighting together to take down the mightiest empire in the world. Now, this is where things get a little hazy. Some historians say that the queen managed to escape that day and live out the rest of her life in a village disguised as a commoner. Others say that she was captured and imprisoned by the Mughal emperor. But regardless of what happened to her, the people of Bengal never forgot her bravery. In fact, her story inspired many rebellions against the Mughal Empire in the years that followed. The common folk of Bengal had had enough of the emperor's tyranny and they wanted to overthrow him. But they needed someone to lead them, someone who could inspire them to rise up against the oppressors, someone who could become the face of their revolution. The queen had shown them that it could be done. Yes, she lost her kingdom, but she had given the people hope, and that's why we remember her today. Friends, history is full of stories of brave men and women who fought against all odds. And if their stories have inspired you to do something great, then you must tell us about it in the comments section. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, do share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching. See you next time.